Alien bases and advanced civilizations should be sought underground and even better underwater. On March 31st, 2023, a solar wind reached planet Earth. The phenomenon is common but unusual that this time it is caused by the ejection from the solar core of matter equal to the size of 20 Earth planets. It's accompanied by a stream of particles flying in different directions. These solar low-energy charged particles are called solar wind. They fly at the speed of 2,000 kilometers, and in the case of the Sun, they are represented by electrons, protons, and alpha particles, the nuclei of the helium atom, and they are not radiation. However, there is a moment when, during the ejection of the coronal mass of the Sun, ultra-fast particles are released, which already pose a great threat, and they reach the surface of our planet tens of minutes after a solar storm, a solar flare. The solar wind, normally harmless, can become a threat to humanity if it's amplified or when the Earth's magnetic field will weaken, as it normally protects us from the flow of radiation and other dangerous radiation from space, cosmic radiation, modern gamma radiation, modern technology, communication and navigation equipment, power supply and distribution systems will be the first to suffer from this. People who have health problems, especially with regard to blood pressure, the nervous system, should also be careful. A magnetic storm can break off the screws and cause deterioration. Reports periodically come from scientific fronts that the core of the Earth has stopped rotating and it might start spinning the other direction. According to the majority of scientists, this kind of a cyclical process, and there's nothing to worry about. This happens many times. Others write that the stop period has passed, the core is spinning in the other direction, etc. The rotation of the Earth's core is the process by which life exists on our planet. This process creates a magnetic field that protects us from the damaging effects of the flow of particles from our Sun. If the inner core of the Earth stops or significantly changes the speed of movement, then our civilization in its current form will cease to exist and may even completely go into oblivion. It's likely that at present there is a change in the parameters of rotation of the core of our planet, which manifests itself in the form of earthquakes, and it's possible that the cataclysms will only intensify. Now, alien bases and civilizations that preceded modern humanity were now faced with a combination of two factors: the threat of the Earth stopping and the charged streams of particles from the Sun. And by the way, the Sun has its own magnetic field, and it protects the solar system from dangerous rays from the outside. And here we come to the alien bases, the extraterrestrial bases. Those civilizations that can travel in the universe know better than us how to protect themselves from the effects of radiation. Perhaps some civilizations have experienced similar cataclysms on their own home planets. Perhaps Mars was inhabited and then the core stopped, an end came first to the magnetic field and then to Mars' atmosphere. A Martian or other civilization in a similar situation can only survive by going underground, under the surface of the planet, hiding from radiation, adapting and preparing for a space escape. Naturally, those aliens who created bases on our planet took all this into account in the slightest detail. Therefore, their bases should be sought underground. They're hidden from our eyes, not because they're aliens or ancient civilizations, but for an event that the density of the flow of particles from our Sun could increase. For the most part, they do not care for humanity, which is at an extremely low level of development, just like we do with animals and insects that live next door to us, and so far do not cause any trouble, much trouble, and bring certain benefits. We are for them, in a sense, a form of symbiosis, neighbors, raw materials, labor force, guinea pigs, etc. But not enemies and not competitors for resources, all the more so. It's noteworthy that despite the lag in technology, modern humanity is even stronger in some ways. Alien bases and former civilizations should be located not just anywhere, but in places of the least exposure to radiation, the Earth's magnetic field is not uniform and the protection is not uniform. Here, for example, the diagram of intensity of external radioactive radiation compiled from the results of observations by the International Space Station. This is the South Atlantic anomaly. The upper and lower red intensity bands are the dipping lines of the Earth's magnetic field, and it is in these areas that the northern lights and southern Atlantic anomaly are observed. Surely the bases of aliens and previous civilizations could be located outside these zones. The ideal place for the alien bases and previous civilizations, as well as possibly future generations of humans, is the bottom of the seas and oceans, or rather the deepening under the bottom. The advantage of this arrangement is that the water and water-bearing materials provide protection against radiation. Their properties are used both in astronautics and in nuclear industry. People are only the beginning of their journey in terms of research into the protective properties of water. The use of heavy metals from lead and heavier for protection against radiation is irrational to use, especially on mobile bases, since they have a cumulative effect. And bases under the sea bottom are an excellent protection both from possible natural disasters and from such absurd neighbors as people who are ready to kick each other with a nuclear elda. And in this regard, the myth of Atlantis may not be a myth, and the Atlanteans may not be the same as we imagine them to be. To contact with others, one must have a slightly different consciousness than ordinary people and think differently, a property available to all of us. Thinking should be absolutely natural and open to the world, just like the ancient Taoists taught. Then abilities will be available that seem to us a little more than that. There is a version that an older civilization, having survived a nuclear catastrophe, went underground even before the appearance of man. Some eyewitnesses allegedly saw that when the radiation at Chernobyl in the first days of the explosion exceeded the maximum dose by more than 2,000 times, then an object appeared at the epicenter, hung for about 20 minutes, and the radiation level, remaining high, dropped to acceptable values. If so, then this civilization knows how to suppress radiation. And this is on Solask. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box.